Welcome, low ego action heroes. We have a theme song now. How about that? Anybody like that? Yeah, I liked it. Okay. So special thanks every day that we do this to Mike Mills from Towhider for writing, performing, producing, mixing that wonderful, wonderful song. And it's all for you, the low ego action heroes. So today we've got a very special adventure planned with our guest, Ben Smithville, who'll be on in just seconds. And we are going to take a look at, oh, yes, thank you, everybody. We're going to take a look at what isn't design thinking, because it just seems like every time we read a definition of design thinking, it seems to be all things to all people. So I think it's really time that we take a critical thinking look at this and figure out what the heck it is. As usual, you can please subscribe on YouTube. I'm pressing buttons. Subscribe on YouTube, usability test that subscribe button. Thank you to my boyfriend for the cool, oh my God, we're getting all the emoji. And you can join our Slack channel, which is totally free, deltacx.link, join Slack. Empathize with the like button if you're on YouTube. And of course, the tip jar is optional but appreciated. It pays for delicious cheese and theme songs. You can also use super chats and super stickers if you're on YouTube. All things appreciated. So let's bring in Ben and learn who the heck he is and jump right in on some things I want to tell you about design thinking. Welcome, Ben.
Hey, Debbie.
Good to see you.
I know we're here to talk about design thinking, but that theme tune. We should talk most of the night about that theme tune. That was intense. I am pumped. I am so pumped up.
Well, thank you. I'm glad it's working. It's working. So, Ben, tell us about who you are. Spell your name for those on the listening only version, and tell us your background so we know why we should listen to you.
You should never listen to me, but humor me for an hour maybe. So I'm Ben Smithville, S-M-I-T-H-W-E and 2 L's on the end. So what am I? So I'm a CX guy, a service design guy. I've spent a lot of time research side as well in my career. Also the dark days spent in marketing and brand as well, just to make up the numbers. I used to work in a meat factory. I've also packaged surfboards for a living. I've serviced mountain bikes as well. So I'm not just a design guy. I've got other stuff going on as well. But of course, for the purposes of today, I'm a design thinker.
Oh, no, that's it. The honeymoon's over. So thank you. And everyone can follow you on LinkedIn. Where else can they find you?
Do you know, I restrict myself to LinkedIn nowadays. I'm retreating back into my little shell at the moment. Social's a weird old place.
I'm with you there. All right. So I want to start at the end. And basically, I want to start by telling people, before we start reading you all the amazing mountains of stuff that we've been spending days collecting, I want to tell you what you're listening for. I find that tends to work a little bit better. So here are some of the things you're listening for. Ben and I put these together earlier today. So number one, lots of articles are telling you the same things about what design thinking is, but nearly none of these articles say, here is exactly how you do these things. They very often just list the steps or ideas and assume you'll know exactly how to do those things. And Ben, I'm interruptible. Jump in if you want, otherwise I'm going to read the list we wrote together earlier today.
Well, look, the assumption being here that design thinking just speaks for itself. It doesn't require any further explanation. You can just throw out words.
Just
synergy,
be it.
Convergence, hashtag design thinking,
be the tree.
Horn-rimmed spectacle, all the stuff. Yeah, be the tree. So yeah, no, there should be no explanation required. If you need to have it explained to you, you're not clever enough for the design thinking.
You're not doing it right. Yeah, I love what Elijah is saying here. Oh, I forgot to turn on all of my windows. Hold on, let me get I want to put stuff up on the screen quickly. Elijah says design thinking doesn't require design thinking. I wish that were true. The number two thing we want you to listen to for today before we start reading a whole bunch of things, most articles treat defining the problem as, now that you understand things from people's perspectives, you understand the problem. Start making solutions.
That's what you do. You do the empathy bit, you do the solution bit.
That's right. Check it off. Tick the box. I empathize. Tick the box. Now I can turn off my empathy. Keep going. Number 3, design thinking pretends to be things we are already doing or should be doing and claims they're design thinking or design thinking solutions. People using critical thinking and processes seem to think they're using design thinking when you can do design thinking without critical thinking, and you can do critical thinking without design thinking. If your company wants to grow, design thinking says you need storytelling. Well, everybody needs storytelling, nothing new here. If you want a creative culture, design thinking says you need prototyping. Well, you could be prototyping uncreative, awful things. So you're listening for that?
Whatever the problem is, design thinking has a solution. There's always a solution. Often storytelling. We like the storytelling.
Sticky notes. All of this reminds me of watching children play with dolls or plush animals. They'll be like, the plush kitty said meow, meow, meow. It's hungry. Oh, now it said meow, meow, meow. It's tired. Meow, meow, meow. It wants to play. That's always how I feel when I see definitions of design thinking. Meow, meow, meow. Oh, you need experience design to deal with your competition. What?
That's right. It's something I mentioned a while ago. My colleague, who he often refers to design thinking as strategic entertainment. It's like daycare for execs and stuff like that. It just keeps people out of trouble.
I call it innovation theater. Oz says, what is design thinking? Oz, I promise we're going to get there after I list the 7 things that you are listening for when we read you the multiple definitions we found of design thinking, because our point is nobody seems to agree what it is. Number 4. I think
they've missed the point here. If you're having to ask what design thinking is, you've already lost, my friend. So boot that person up. They're not good enough.
No, Oz is wonderful. He's just not from the design thinking world. He teaches Microsoft Excel. He's the reason I can do pivot tables. Everyone says meow, 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 design thinking, make a meme out of that.
Get that on a t-shirt. I want that on a t-shirt.
That's where the emojis come in handy. Okay, number 4 that you're listening for. Design thinking is a Schrodinger's process. Design thinking is a process, but it's not. It's kind of a mindset, but it's simultaneously strategic, and it's tactical, and it's a philosophy and a framework, and there are stages, but they don't have to be, but they're in a particular order, but you don't have to be boundaried by that order. So basically, design thinking is whatever you decide it is, but if someone has a different definition than you, they are wrong. I don't know why you're laughing. You wrote that.
when you choose what to do next in the design thinking process, you force it out of superposition. That's what happens. It's simultaneously all things and all conceivable states at once. It's the act of observing the design thinking makes it manifest. Very important.
And especially the way you said that, I really have started to believe that design thinking is religion. If you don't see God the way I see God, you are bad and wrong. And that's how design thinking has kind of ended up. Number 6 that you're listening for today. Design thinking helps your business to conceive of any number of future states that it absolutely is not equipped to deliver. It's some sort of all-encompassing magic that your company isn't going to be able to do well or right. And it's transformative, but does nothing to assist a transformation. And finally, number 7 that you're listening for today, design thinking is about innovating, but we won't have any success criteria or KPIs around it. Did we actually innovate? Nobody's measuring or checking. Will anyone be accountable if these ideas are bad or wrong or fail? No, you can deliver complete garbage and nobody will be in trouble for that. So, with the end of the story first, those are the 7 things you're listening for as we read you a variety of things that we found around the interwebs telling you what design thinking is and how to use it. Ben, any thoughts before I continue?
I feel a little bit depressed, kind of laying it all out like this. I get a bit depressed when I think about design thinking anyway. But I think just seeing it laid out, I think I'm a bit upset. I'm feeling blue. Oh, there it is. I'm feeling blue. I'm feeling blue.
It's
I'm just not design thinking enough. My small little brain, it just can't manage all these, what would design thinkers say, all these different dichotomies, all these competing mental models, all these different modes. It's just too quantum for me.
Ben,
I'm inadequate.
you've got to change your mindset, Ben. You've got to change your
It's all
mindset.
mindset.
Yeah.
It's
All right.
simultaneously all mindset and nothing to do with mindset.
I am going to start with the IDF definition of design thinking. IDF says, design thinking is an iterative process in which we seek to understand the user, challenge assumptions, and redefine problems in an attempt to identify alternative strategies and solutions that might not be instantly apparent with our initial level of understanding. At the same time, design thinking provides a solution-based approach to solving problems. It is a way of thinking and working, as well as a collection of hands-on methods. Ben, help me?
I'm sorry. We're probably going to get this a bit today. You've said lots of words, right?
Oh, thank
said
you.
Lots and lots of words.
I did.
And they all sound like the kind of things that people say about design thinking. And we're at the first article, and already it's collapsing into a kind of a fog of, it's like salad.
The black hole has been sucked into the black hole.
I'm getting a bit concerned. I'm even a little bit fearful that we've only just embarked on this journey. And
oh yeah, we got pages of this stuff, Ben.
I know. That's why I'm terrified. So
we actually prepared for this one, everybody. We've got pages of stuff. So I'm going to continue. Yeah, be scared.
I don't know how I'm going to get into this.
Be very afraid. Okay, now I'm going to give you the IDEO. Is that how they say their name? The IDEO definition of design thinking. And of course, they tend to take credit for creating the term, though they actually didn't. But here's the short version of their definition of design thinking. In employing design thinking, you're pulling together what's desirable from a human point of view with what is technologically feasible and economically viable. It also allows those who aren't trained as designers to use creative tools and address a vast range of challenges. The process starts with taking action and understanding the right questions. It's about embracing simple mindset shifts and tackling problems from a new direction. So it's simple, Ben.
All right, so already I'm going through an arc. So the first one I felt a bit sad and a bit daunted. Now I just feel a little bit cross. And it's sparked a little thing in me. It's made me feel a little bit irritated. Whenever people talk about, getting people involved who aren't trained as designers, it just completely throws everything out that we'd hold dear as professionals. Like, you don't need that. You can just rock up at a workshop, we'll get the bloody Lego out, and it'll be great, and we're all designers. That's what design thinking can do for you.
Yes, it's amazing. It is amazing. A vast range of challenges, but just simple mindset shifts. Ben, what's your mindset now? What mindset are you in right now? Wait, which one?
Irritated
mindset. I like that.
Yeah, the irritated mindset. And to be able to tell you that, I had to empathize with myself. I did the empathy bit. I'm going to iterate into a different mindset very soon.
If you do shift mindsets, please let us know. I don't have a specific effect to set off for that, but let me know. Now I'd like to read everybody's the definition of design thinking according to CareerFoundry, who of course wants you to pay them to teach you something they pretend is UX. This one's a little bit longer, but I'm going to read it to you. CareerFoundry says, I'm going to voice act all of these. Should I do it in a genuine voice or a not genuine voice? Let's do it in a cheesy voice. Design thinking is extremely user-centric. It focuses on humans first and foremost, seeking to understand people's needs and come up with effective solutions to meet those needs. It is what we call a solution-based approach to problem solving. Solution-based thinking focuses on finding solutions, coming up with something constructive to effectively tackle a certain problem. This is the opposite of problem-based thinking, which tends to fixate on obstacles and limitations. The 4 principles of design thinking, according to CareerFoundry, are 1. The human rule. No matter what the context, all design activity is social in nature, and any social innovation will bring us back to the human-centric point of view. 2. The ambiguity rule. Ambiguity is inevitable, and it cannot be removed or oversimplified. Wow, it sounds like matter. Experimenting at the limits of your knowledge and ability is crucial in being able to see things differently. The redesign rule. All design is redesign. While technology and social circumstances may change and evolve, basic human needs remain unchanged. We essentially only redesign the means of fulfilling these needs or reaching desired outcomes. The tangibility rule. Making ideas tangible in the form of prototypes enables designers to communicate them more effectively. Kayleen says, I think Ben is crying. Ben, we're crying too.
Yeah, nearly. Yeah, there was a little bit of a tear forming just here. I like the fact they reiterate that it's a solution-based approach to problem solving, and then they say solution-based thinking focuses on finding solutions. I like the fact they reiterated that for us, because when they said it in the first sentence, I was still a bit on the fence, and then they kind of really just nailed it home. I was like, woo, solutions, got it. I'm on the
Yeah,
bus.
and this is the opposite of problem-based thinking, which fixates on obstacles and limitations. So you don't really want to spend any time on problem-based thinking. I think this is what's called negative framing, where you make sure to try to disgust people by the words you choose. Problem-based thinking just focuses on obstacles. Ooh.
Oh gosh.
Golly
I like
gee.
the stuff. All design is redesign. All design is redesign.
Well, that
It's
means
all
you'll never
about-
innovate. If it's always redesign, then you can't innovate.
But is the innovation re-innovation? Therefore, I don't follow the. I like the fact it's around these basic human needs that have remained unchanged. And I don't know if we extrapolate from that, it's that everything you do in terms of design thinking, it's about foraging for food, sex and violence, finding shelter, kinship. I don't know. Mainly sex and violence. I think that's what it's all about.
It wouldn't be an episode with you if it didn't end up talking about sex. So, keep going. That's 2 for 2. It just ends
Yeah,
up there.
tick tock.
Yeah. Flavio says, you can do anything. Nothing is stopping you. Just budget and stakeholders. Kayleen says, I feel like I'm a 70s hippie and I discovered the meaning of life. Yeah. Well, now you are a design thinker. Now I want to read to you the definition of design thinking from the Harvard Business Review, because they know things about things, right?
Smart people.
Traditionally, customer research has been an impersonal exercise. An expert who may well have pre-existing theories about customer preferences reviews feedback from focus groups, surveys, and if available, data on current behavior, and draws inferences about needs. The better the data, the better the inferences. The trouble is, this grounds people in the already articulated needs that the data reflects. They see the data through the lens of their own biases, and they don't recognize needs people have not expressed. Design thinking takes a different approach. Identify hidden needs by having the innovator live the customer's experience.
Oh my God. It's like design thinking. It just invented research or speaking to a person about a thing and learning from it. Before that, we just had an NPS dashboard and we designed shit that never worked. This is genius.
Before that, someone said, Don Norman, guess what should go here. Someone just guess what should go here, please. We have no process. We don't know what we're doing. We had some surveys and we just guessed stuff. We have no idea. And we're super biased. We just see through our own lenses. So thanks to design thinking, we can live the customer's experience. Live it.
We can live their experience. That's amazing. And no one had ever thought to do any of this stuff before Harvard or design
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah, I was on a podcast a year or so ago, and I remember the guy saying to me, like, because he'd been studying design thinking and he kind of liked it. And I remember him saying, well, if I went out and lived for a week as a homeless person, then now I empathize with the homeless, right? And I said, you empathize with whatever character you played for a week, knowing that after a week you got to return to a home and a bank account. You were
Hashtag
not
context.
hashtag context. You were not a homeless mother with children. You were not a homeless mentally ill veteran. You played a character for a week. Congratulations. Hold on, I've got my applause for that. Oh, it didn't. Oh, I turned off the volume on it. Hold on, I'll have to put it back on. I think we're gonna need it for
I
this
think you've
one.
hit on something. So what you're saying is that design thinking is basically LARPing. That's what it
Right.
is.
Right, exactly. It's
All
Pokemon
cosplay.
Go. It's the Pokemon Go
Right.
of innovation.
Right?
Okay, all right. Well, now that we know that we are living the customer's experience, I think there's like a body snatching, body switching 1970s thing here where it's like, we're just going to be the customer and change bodies with them like so many Disney movies. That's just a guess. Okay, moving on. We've got a definition from Wework. Remember them?
They work.
Remember them? Wework says, to be truly human-centered, designers watch how people use a product or service and continue to refine the product or service in order to improve the customer's experience. This is the iterative part of design thinking. It favors moving quickly to get prototypes out to test rather than endless research or rumination. In contrast to traditional problem solving, which is a linear process of identifying a problem and then brainstorming solutions, design thinking only works if it is iterative. It is less of a means to get a single solution and more of a way to continuously evolve your thinking and respond to consumer needs. How's your thinking evolving today?
I'm less irritated. I'm just getting confused again, I think. So straight line bad, always bad. Iteraty circle thing, going around in lines, good. I think is that what we're saying? Bad, good. Bad.
Right. So
good.
if you did a nonlinear, oh, thank you, Flavio. Thanks for joining the channel. These are the paid memberships for the YouTube channel. Thank you, Flavio.
Kapow.
I know, it's where the action happens. Kayleen says, I rate this 1 dog out of 5. Okay, Kayleen, I will put up the dog rating system. You get 1 dog out of 5 for this one. Brian says, this is why ethnography is so valuable. Sure, if anybody understands it. So what I'm noticing about here not only is again, this is negative framing. We're making it sound like identifying problems and brainstorming solutions can only be linear, and linear is bad. So therefore bad. So these are bad syllogisms. If you didn't take 9th grade math, look up syllogism. You're welcome. And the other thing I noticed is that in almost every design thinking exercise I've seen or design sprints exercise I've seen, we're always voting to find one solution. But Wework says it's not a means to a single solution. We don't want a single solution.
No.
Maybe we stop voting on the winner. Maybe we cut that.
You can't have a solution. Solutions are impossible because everything has to exist at the level of the perpetual beta in constant.
It's iterative.
That's why they said design thinking only works if it is iterative. Okay.
I guess as soon as you release something, you fucked design thinking. You called it a product. You called it a product, and there goes your design thinking. So
you have to send your space hopper back. They won't let
you're
you
done.
back in the clubhouse. You're done.
Close your company. Close your company. You did it. Now I would like to read you a long definition of design thinking from your friends, but not mine, InVision, the so-called prototyping software. You know InVision, the prototyping software that makes click-through models? Okay, not sponsored because I'm not recommending them. Here we go. Here's what InVision says about design thinking. Voice acting on.
Go.
The ideology behind design thinking states that in order to come up with innovative solutions, one must adopt a designer's mindset and approach the problem from the user's perspective. At the same time, design thinking is all about getting hands-on. The aim is to turn your ideas into tangible, testable products or processes as quickly as possible. The design thinking process outlines a series of steps that bring this ideology to life, starting with building empathy for the user, right through coming up with ideas and turning them into prototypes. At this point, you're probably thinking that this sounds suspiciously like UX. So, what makes design thinking so special? Come on.
Stop that.
I'm trying to get through this in one take.
That's good. That's good.
I'm trying to get through this in one take, but of course I'm already a bit stuck at adopting a designer's mindset.
Yeah.
And anyway, let me continue. InVision goes on. Oh, Shannon's got a good one. Shannon said, "What happened to you are not your user?" Yes. Flavio says, "Stand up." Yeah, get out of here for being right. Ralit says here, and she says, "I have a problem with the voting part. Does it mean when we don't vote, the solution is not good? I don't think so." And Yassine is here and says, "Design thinking is like virtue signaling in the design world." Oh, yes, beautiful, beautiful. Let me continue. InVision goes on. InVision continues to say, yes, let me roll back 2 sentences because you really want to feel where this goes. At this point, you're probably thinking that this sounds suspiciously like UX. So what makes design thinking so special? Design thinking helps us tackle wicked problems, which I guess UX can't do. The uniqueness of design thinking lies in the kinds of problems it addresses. When it comes to the problems to be solved with design thinking, we're not just talking about ordinary common problems that have tried and tested solutions. We're talking about highly complex, wicked problems, the kind that refuse to be solved using standard methods and approaches. Wow.
I love this notion of the problem that has its own personality and refuses to be solved.
I know. The problem is like, fuck all y'all. What do you mean you're going to try to solve me? And what do you mean you're going to solve me with a standard method? How dare you, sir? InVision continues.
The problem, do you know what happens?
What?
And this is how you know when you have to apply the design thinking rather than your linear problem-solving method of choice. Because you approach the problem, and all of a sudden, you know what happens, Debbie? Right? You approach the problem to empathize with it, and you just see this. It's like, fuck you! Fuck you! That's all you get. Then you design things.
Thank you to Maggie for super chatting $2. And with, of course, the message of design thinking. So I expect if the emojis don't explode soon, they're broken. But thank you. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Maggie. And drops into the tip jar. Thank design thinking. Well, look, InVision said more, everybody. I want to make sure you know that design thinking is different than UX because design thinking tackles wicked problems and UX is evidently for soft, flaccid, feeble problems. That one was for you, Ben.
Yeah, good. That's good.
All right. Well. Thank you. I'm hurting myself. I'm glad I'm not wearing mascara. Okay. Let me continue because InVision wants all y'all to know UX just can't handle this stuff. Not only are these problems difficult to define, but any attempt to solve them is likely to give way to even more problems. Wicked problems are everywhere, ranging from global issues such as climate change and poverty to challenges that affect almost all businesses, such as change management, achieving sustainable growth, or maintaining your competitive edge. Design thinking is an actionable approach which can be used to tackle the world's wickedest of problems. It fosters user centricity, creativity, innovation, and out of the box thinking. Wicked problems, Ben, they can't be solved by UX. They have to be solved by design thinkers. We've got more on that later.
You got nothing. You guys, you UX guys, you look in the toolkit, you empty it on the floor, nothing. You got nothing.
You can't handle a wicked problem. If this is a challenge to the company, UX people can't do it. It's too hard for them.
No. You guys just sit there with your little wireframes and your crayons.
You can only have the scissors they give you in the primary school that cut softly. You know, here they have the glue. The glue for children is made from almonds in case the children eat it. I've learned that. I've learned that.
Why almonds?
Because they are naturally sticky. Take real almonds without shells, soak them in water, and you actually have glue. I've done this. I was making my own almond milk last year.
Joe, the error there, they took a linear problem-solving approach.
That's true.
Thank
you, Wilson. Wilson says his new job title will be Design Thinking Connoisseur.
Ooh, yeah, that works.
It does. Let's talk about what 99 Designs says design thinking is, because we all know when we think about thought leadership in UX and design, we think about 99 Designs. Maggie says design thinking barista. 99 Design says, innovation is the key objective of design thinking. The idea that innovation does not come from aesthetics or the general advancement of technology. True innovation must serve a purpose and fill a void, even one the user was not aware of. Instead of leaving innovation up to subjective factors like luck or good taste, design thinking provides measurable means of achieving it. Well, you know, that's our... Say again?
But fails to detail exactly what those measurable means of achieving it might be.
Absolutely. I read the entire article and they never told you what the measurable means of achieving it were. These were the things we told you to listen for. So evidently, Ben, our problem, you and I, is that we've been leaving our work to luck or good taste.
I love that. Subjective factors like luck or good taste.
Yeah, my 27-year career has really just been an amazing string of luck.
An amazing string of luck. Oh my gosh.
How have I done it?
So I wonder, so with these little articles, or these little snippets, I wonder how many words this is and how much sense you make out of it. Yeah. And
can you copy and paste it? While I'm reading it, do you want to copy and paste it into a word cloud machine? And then send me the link?
If any of your guys are kind of newish to design thinking, which I seriously doubt, I wonder if someone comes just fresh to this and they're hearing us talk about it from reputable sources, I wonder if they're any wiser as a result. I suspect actually not.
Now I'm going to read you an excerpt while Ben works on word clouding and sends me a link so I can share it. I'm going to read you a quote that I found that was so good I put it in my book from 2 years ago. If you've read my book, you've seen this one. It's in a couple of my slides too. But this was an article I found when I was researching my book. I read a lot of people trying to say, here's why design thinking is great. And I had a hard time finding concrete stories about why design thinking was great and what the success criteria were and how we could prove that it worked. So this is the kind of thing that I found. And this is an exact quote. An example is a request from a new client to redesign a bike part. I should have mentioned this guy was worked in an agency. He was an agency guy. So he gets a request from a new client to redesign a bike part. Sales have slowed, and they believe that a new design will spark renewed interest and help fend off competitors. Absent of design thinking, we would dive in and create a new, slick design for this specific bike part. Employing the design thinking process, however, we would get dramatically different results. The 5-step design thinking process reveals that the problem can't be resolved with a newly designed bike part. He actually goes on to say that maybe you need to suggest to your client that they create an entire new product line. So we went from a guy wants a new bike part to you need a new product line. But the thing that I noticed the most to me that jumped out was, to me, this wasn't design thinking. This was just critical thinking. If a client comes to me and says, we need better graphs, I want to do the research that says, are the graphs really the problem? Are the graphs the only problem? What do people need? So I think this is one of those examples where people are confusing design thinking, which is a mindset, pedagogy, framework, canvas, process, something else, with just critical thinking. Critical thinking would ask us to double check that the problem is really the problem. But I offer you something else. I offer you the idea that a zillion people could go into a room, hold a design thinking week about this newly designed bike part. They could empathize with the customer who could use a newly designed bike part. They could say these people need a newly designed bike part. They defined the problem, they iterate, they make something, boom, at the end of the week, newly designed bike part. There's nothing in design thinking that would keep them from still building a newly designed bike part if they empathized with people who needed a new bike part and found that that was the correctly defined problem. So design thinking and critical thinking are not the same. Ben, do you have something to share? You look deep in thought.
So I was just I was taking all of those words and putting it into Word, and I made a little word cloud and everything.
I see it. I see it. Let me let me open up this image. I'm gonna share it to the audience. It might mute our microphones because of the way that I do screen sharing. So we'll comment on it when we get back. Let me see if I can run this correctly and show this. Okay, so press this button. Okay, this should show the word cloud that Ben made. And it looks like we've got, oh, you're not muted. Design thinking, problem, Meow. Solutions, user, DT for design thinking. Innovation, critical thinking.
Plush kitty at the top as well. That's important.
Plush kitty. I do have that coming up. I will be saying plush kitty later. Oh, no, I said that already. The plush kitty says meow, meow. Meow, meow. Meow, meow, I empathized with you. Why is meow so big? Maggie says, I love sticky notes, but not for design thinking reasons. Sure, we've got sticky notes on our wall. Oh, Kayleen says, things. Just things.
That's my favorite.
Okay, so let me move on. There's more to read. So when I was researching for my book, I found a salesman who wanted to train other salespeople on how to use design thinking in the sales process. So remember, no huge problems, no wicked challenges, how to make more sales using design thinking. Here's part of what the quote says. Empathize. This requires researching end users to find out what they ultimately want and why. How do the end users think? Designers need to perform empathetic research all the time. For salespeople, it may require entering a new mindset to discover the wider reasons a customer might want a product. Empathy is what, so I want to comment on that. First of all, empathetic research. Ben, what is that?
I think here, for the purposes of this, it's having a conversation with another person. And what's more, listening to the words that they say, understanding them, and perhaps based on the things that they say, saying words yourself back to them, like a conversation. That must be design thinking as well. I don't know.
Well, whenever I see empathetic, I just want to replace it with its original definition, which is vicariously feeling another person's feelings. So that means we need to do research that vicariously feels people's feelings all the time. And
That's
salespeople,
exactly
salespeople need a new mindset. That's what's wrong with y'all salespeople. You're not closing your sales because your mindset. You need a new mindset. And
because they're people and they're not being design thinkers. So salespeople need to be design thinkers in order to be good salesmen, because a design thinker is a good salesman. So simultaneously, you could think about marketing. So marketers need to use design thinking to become better marketers, because design thinkers are great marketers as well. And dentists.
I like it. We got dentists later. All right. Yeah. So I like this salesperson also define. Here's his quote about how he's going to train you to define the problem. Define the problem. Now the sales team must focus all known information onto a single objective. But which objective? Again, this requires a degree of creativity. What does the company want to achieve? Which sales goals are realistic? So evidently to this guy, defining the problem is what does the business want to do and what are his sales goals. That's understanding what users need and defining the problem. We're done.
Yeah. How many units do I need to shift this month?
Done. We're done. We have all the things. Don't forget, everybody, you can subscribe here on the Delta CX YouTube channel and join us in many ways. And of course, always grateful for the donations in the tip jar, optional, and the super chats and super stickers, and of course, the memberships here as well. Of course, my favorite, which has ended up in many of my slides, is the time that General Assembly posted to LinkedIn and wrote, "Empathizing with users isn't just a UX concept. How applying design thinking to code refactoring can lead to a better software experience." And they link to an article, and the article literally says that programmers need to use design thinking when code refactoring. What were they doing before? I don't know, but evidently it was completely wrong, and they're all losers. They need to use design thinking. And the article said, step 1, coders need to empathize with the people who will use the code. 2, define the problem. 3, ideate on their code. 4, prototype their code. 5, test their code. Thank God somebody came in and told these people exactly what to do.
Right. Can we have a reality check? I've lost track of what's real. Was all of that entirely true? The bit about empathize with the use of the code?
Yes.
Oh, shit. I thought you were joking.
I'm not joking. That was real. I'll send you can Keelan's probably already Googled it. Yeah, it's very real. It's in my book and many of my slides because it's that bad. Now I've got a long one I want to read you. This was the University of Texas at Austin School of Design and Creative Technologies. Not too sure they love design thinking. Here's what they had to say. The rise of design thinking outside the formal design classroom has also led to its wicked pedagogy problem. Design thinking educators realize that one cannot effectively teach a novice to use human-centered design to solve vexing work or social problems using an accelerated pedagogical model. Teaching and learning design thinking in a way that results in impact requires slowing down the learning, taking time to unfold the layers of what it means to be human-centered, and to pay attention to the innate dignity of human beings. Educators also understand that learning design thinking demands spending focused energy practicing and receiving feedback from experts. However, the vast majority of humans endeavoring to learn design thinking need it fast and on demand. As such, 90-minute workshops, online training, boot camps, and other accelerated models are skyrocketing in popularity. There is something important for design educators to pay attention to here. Accelerated design thinking models have profoundly human-centered value propositions, although most are also high cost. Convenience, accessibility, and most crucially, time saving. Moreover, elite universities and prominent businesses are leading the delivery of rapid design thinking training, and their strong brand recognition adds to the value proposition mix. Accelerated design thinking products are so appealing that people enroll their employees, despite the reality that single-shot professional development workshops have limited long-term impact. And here they actually cite a source. Remember when people did that? They cite a source. For example, research on the structure of upskilling teachers demonstrates that professional learning that results in classroom impact and transformation must be substantial, span over 40 hours, focus on content knowledge, and be aligned with empirically validated theories on how people learn and change. Similar cited source. In other words, upskilling doesn't happen in a one-shot deal. Just as we do in our design practice, design educators need to find a way to meet human beings' needs around the teaching and learning of design thinking that addresses the tension between the demands for accelerated and decelerated pedagogical models. Ben, how do you take that? With cream and sugar.
With cream and sugar. I was just wondering how cross you were feeling because it mentioned the words, was it boot camps? I know you have one or two views on that kind of thing.
I do.
This
May
really
10th.
gets to the heart. Yeah, right. Yeah, of course. Yeah, you're doing a session, aren't you? I have to rock up at that one.
Hey, we've got a great comment from the chat room. Sarah says, you have some great things to say sometimes, Debbie, but this tone you're taking is way too snarky and holier than thou, very off-putting. Well, this is what design thinking says, Sarah. Design thinking says all these things. Do you want to come on? You want me to put your picture up next to Ben and you can read this stuff? Ben, do you want to read this stuff instead of me? Sarah, this is what this stuff says, and it's killing our industry. The problem is we're not speaking out enough. You might have a shitty job now. Your next job might be worse. And design thinking is part of the problem. I get to shoot holes in it. I'm sorry you don't like my tone, but I'm also sorry that you're choosing to police my tone instead of standing up and saying something about the things that are hurting our jobs, our industry, our customer experiences, customer satisfaction, internal processes, budgets, marketing, and a few other things. So I recognize that maybe you won't be a subscriber and maybe you won't share this out, but I ask you to please put on your critical thinking hat and ask why it's okay to share this garbage and train people on this garbage and spend time and money on this garbage. But if I want to shoot holes in it, it's me. Sarah?
It is hard not to be snarky when talking about this stuff. Again, you could read out the stuff in any tone, and no matter how you would do it, it would always sound slightly sarcastic because you have to, because the amount of BS in this square of the woods.
It's written holier than thou. It's like,
Oh,
I'm not holier than
yeah.
thou. I'm the least holy person in the room. It's written holier than thou. It's written, this is the one thing you need to solve all of your problems, the big problems, the little problems, problems in sales, problems in marketing, problems with product. It's written as, this is it. It's the magic bullet. You just need to do this. Just change your mindset.
I think if you could condense all of the literature on design thinking into just one sentence, it'd probably sing along the lines of, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what we have some of that in here as well. So while I thank Sarah for watching and being involved, and maybe Sarah's still here and maybe Sarah's not, I would say I'm enjoying being snarky about this, because when I'm not laughing about this, I'm crying about this. I mean, my entire mission in life is to improve our jobs and our industry, and to save us from becoming design thinkers where we can't do any work ourselves and we just have to pull everybody into a room so they can guess at solutions because we don't want to focus on problems. That's not going to be good.
Yeah.
So serious moment. Did you like that better?
I think back to the article, I think this whole thing around basing everything around series of loosely connected workshops. And again, the pedagogical model around this is how you run the workshop, this is how you do the thing, blah, 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 blah. It's entirely dysfunctional.
Well, the most important thing is if people roll back the video and watch what the University at Austin just said, they're very concerned about design thinking and the way it's being taught.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important clip to go listen to again, because I didn't read it, snarky, and it's not holier than thou. These are academics who are concerned about the cheapening of all of this and how we're trying to teach everybody to do all of these deep and important human-centered things in 90-minute trainings and workshops. So there's that. So for Sarah, I will read the rest of the things in a regular narration style and not a disingenuous narration style. And you can all tell me if it sounds any better. Starting with this one from TopTal's blog. TopTal, who you know I don't like at all, they wrote a blog post about how the pandemic is a good use case for design thinking. Here's 2 paragraphs I pulled from that. In an ideal scenario, an emergency design commission with an army of volunteer designers and content strategists could spring into action to rapidly craft and test various designs. Taking the design thinking phases of empathize, define, and ideate, this rapid response team of designers could assist authorities with formulating the right kind of messaging. During the final phase of design thinking, implementation, governments could text millions of people with new rules around social distancing with the help of mobile operators. Getting information out rapidly over a variety of channels would ensure people receive the right kind of information promptly. Ben, what's your response to hearing that the pandemic is a good use case for design thinking?
I'd say obviously it is, because design thinking can solve every problem, particularly wicked problems. So I think this is precisely the use case. And this is actually why the virus in certain markets or certain territories is starting to retreat, because their design thinkers have leapt to attention with their sticky notes and their space hoppers and the mustache wax and all that kind of stuff.
The rapid response team of designers.
Rapid response team. So I think there's high-vis involved, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I look good in that, by the way. So the thing that I find interesting, there's 2 things that jump out at me about this, and I'll take a more serious tone in case it helps Sarah, who's already hung up the phone on me and left, I'm sure. But the thing I notice is whenever I find people talking about how design thinking is good to solve a certain problem, I find they just mention the steps, but they never mention exactly how they would see them carried out or utilized. So if they're saying that empathize, define, and ideate would help the pandemic, how? In what way? And in what way would those help the pandemic in ways that nobody else is doing? Aren't there great critical thinkers and epidemiologists and specialists in mass messaging or even propaganda who would be able to achieve the messaging and stuff that this person envisions that possibly only design thinkers can do? I think that this is an insult to the people who do this all the time, the people who work in public health and have to message these things. Why are we acting like they can't get this right and only design thinkers could really do a better job with this? Ben, anything to add before I read the next one of my favorites?
Yeah, go on to the next one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this one's a good one. It has not aged well. This is from January 2020. It appeared in fortune.com. It also went out in their newsletter, and it is an article called "The Coronavirus Problem Could Be Solved with Design Thinking." Now, if you try to Google it, it is behind a paywall, so you're going to have to use like the Wayback Machine and other stuff to get around the paywall, but I'm going to read you most of it because it's worth listening to. We've embraced the broad notion of design that includes design thinking, the use of empathy, brainstorming, prototyping, testing, and other techniques to solve practical problems in areas not traditionally associated with design. As answers materialize, designers and design thinkers can play a vital role. Remember, this is in the pandemic, and this is January 2020. So, quick quiz. Who was at fault in January 2020 for the pandemic? Ben, who remembers? Who was at fault in January 2020 for the pandemic?
Go on.
The entire country of China. Okay, so I'm going to continue with this article, but remember, this is January 2020 talking about design thinking could solve coronavirus. Among the areas where design thinkers might help, visualizing data. In a Fast Company article, journalist Stephanie Evergreen says graphic designers can save lives by helping scientists and public health officials communicate information about the geography of the disease, how it spreads, and how to stop it. Well, yes, I think Top Towel said the same thing. Maybe they read this article. Yes, I mean, that is the job of graphic designers, infographic artists, content strategists, public health officials. We don't need design thinkers for that. We have people who do that. The second thing the article says that design thinkers can do to solve coronavirus, rethinking China's healthcare system. China does not have enough hospitals, and the ones it has are bureaucratic, inefficient, and poorly organized. Videos circulating on China's social media show scenes of chaos and squalor inside Wuhan's hospitals. The government has ordered construction companies to work around the clock to build a 6-acre, 1,000-bed emergency hospital for coronavirus patients within the next week. But will facilities thrown up with such haste still function properly and minimize the risk of the contagion? Ben, how can design thinkers help China's healthcare system and hospital building?
Well, step one, empathize with the virus and the hospital building. That's where you'd have to start. Always empathize with the virus. And you just have to build up now. It's a wicked problem. So we're in design thinking territory. And there's probably a model with kind of 4 boxes with kind of learn some stuff, synthesize some stuff, design.
There's got to be a canvas or framework we can fill out.
There's all of that. And you can fill it out and you can take it home with you as well. And you can share it with your friends and family. And that means that they can all be design thinkers too. You could even workshop it out to your family at Christmas or Thanksgiving. Get out the stickies. Everyone can join in. It's fun for all the family. And you could have saved the world from coronavirus.
Yes, and Marisol says, step 2, change the political system.
I mean, it's not in the standard model, but, we're solving wicked problems here, so...
Yep, and Donna Shree says, then we can say vaccines are the outcome of design thinking. Yes, no one would ever thought that when you have a disease, maybe you should make a vaccine. Thank you, design thinkers. Now, of course, there's a third suggestion that this article has as to how design thinkers can solve coronavirus in January 2020. Cleaning up China's wet markets. Many of the early victims of coronavirus worked in or visited one of Wuhan's largest wet markets, where a wide array of wildlife species, bats, civet cats, what are those? Snakes, live wolf pups were sold as food. Experts say that close contact with these creatures can accelerate the mutations that spawn viruses capable of jumping to humans. Chinese authorities imposed a temporary nationwide ban on the trade of wild animals and quarantined all wildlife breeding centers. Designers may not be able to change a country's dietary preferences, but they could address the infrastructure around wet market hygiene.
No, that's entirely correct. Because changing an entire country's dietary preference is a wicked problem. And
we should be working on that.
Best solved with design thinking. So I completely disagree with that.
Yeah, it's, I mean, why should we talk to epidemiologists, urban planning specialists, public health officials yet again, when we can ask design thinkers to address the infrastructure around Chinese wet markets? The snark is built in. I can't not snark this, and
No,
it is holier than thou. I can't. I am reading this as plainly as I can, and to me, it sounds holier than thou. It sounds holier than thou, even when I'm reading it plainly. Do you feel the same way?
yeah. It's. I think I think an element is inescapable here. I've just realized as well that when you're creating a vaccine, when you're doing human trials, that's prototyping, right? Is that
Ooh.
prototyping? It must be design thinking prototyping.
It's testing your paper prototype on people, but the paper prototype is liquid.
Well, no, maybe they do actually use paper prototypes as well.
Right. If you had the virus, which thing would you click on to not have the virus?
They could have paper syringes as well, because you could workshop it out back to this thing around theatricals, and you could live role play it up with the sleeve.
You're going to show us the guns? You showing us the
paper.
guns?
Yeah,
It's the gun show.
Design thinking guns. $10.
Thank you. Matt says, it feels like some news report filled with fake news. Marisol says, ridiculous. What article is this? It was from Fortune magazine, and it was called The Coronavirus Could Be Solved with Design Thinking. And it ends with, let me wrap it up nicely, it ends with, design thinking's methods aren't widely understood in China. Beijing tends to prefer solutions that involve top-down edict and central control rather than empathy and ideation. The Wuhan outbreak and China's struggle to contain it demonstrates the need for a different approach. So, Marisol, you were right. The entire political system of China does not have enough empathy and ideation, and that's what happened to coronavirus. The end. Now go to sleep, kids.
You wrapped it up. You solved it.
Yeah. I'd like to also remind people about all the design thinking certificates out there, that anybody can get a design thinking certificate in minutes. No, not sponsored. Don't go and do it. Nobody judged your ability to empathize. Nobody judged your ability to define the problem or the correct problem or defining the problem with any depth. In fact, earlier today we heard you don't want to focus too much on the problem. That's just being obstacle focused. Nobody who gave you a design... Sorry, go ahead.
That's linear thinking. We don't like that.
We don't want that. Nobody who gave you a design thinking certificate tested your ability to ideate. They didn't check if your ideas were viable or accessible. Nobody tested your prototype to see if you made a good one. Nobody checked your testing plan or recruiting. But you got a design thinking certificate without anybody checking that you could do any of the 5 steps well.
But it could have been a great course. I mean, I think partly it's down to the tutor. So let's say if, for instance, the tutor was a digital marketer or a scrum master, then it's probably legit as hell.
That's right. It's usually an agile coach. Marisol says if they focus on the problem, their article would be boring and too much work. We also have a page that is so bizarre you should probably read it for yourself. It's we just found this. We don't know who these people are. It's innovation-training.org/design-thinking-mindsets. And it goes through many major design thinking whoever's and talks about all of their mindsets. There's a lot of mindsets here. Ben, I never really understand mindsets. Can I have more than one mindset at a time? Or do I have to have one at a time and switch between them?
Well, let's pressure test this. So I'm just going to pick at random. Let's just see if they clash together well. So can you at the same time be multimodal in your communication, radically collaborative, and have a bias towards action? Debbie, can you do that?
Well, that was too many buzzwords. These need to be like playing cards or something. These are wacky. You were saying multimodal in communication, and what was the other thing I had to be?
Oh, some other bullshit. Let me try a different one. Can you show rather than tell and craft clarity at the same time?
Craft clarity.
Craft clarity.
What does that look like?
can you be radically collaborative with
Well,
a
hold on.
biased
Craft
perspective?
clarity as a mindset. So if craft clarity is a mindset, do I have to do it or do I just have to believe in it?
I think you have to say it. I think a lot of these things are the kind of words you have to say whilst you're doing the design thinking. I don't know if these are design thinking mindsets or the words you have to say. It's like secret language to be part of the institute.
So it's like, so I guess it's the way that you can be holier than thou with your teammates and coworkers to say, right now, I'm crafting clarity. I'm focused on human values. Again, it holier than thou's itself. It holier than thou's itself. I'm focused on human values, said no one ever. I'm crafting clarity, said no one ever. I'm radically collaborative, said no one ever. Yeah, these are just super strange. Let's see what else is on our list since we only have about 10 more minutes. If anybody has questions or things they want to add in, please join in. We have a few more things on our list. Questions, comments are all welcome. I did find a infographic that showed that the design thinking process included, now I'm going to voice act this as if it is an American television commercial disclaimer. So if English is not your first language, I apologize, but we're low on time. So this is what this infographic says. This is what is part of the design thinking process. And it says it's from uxhints.com. We just need a hint of UX. Hashtag not sponsored because I don't recommend this. Okay.
Come on, Debbie, you can do this. One breath.
User interviews, stakeholder interviews, surveys. Oh, hold on. My screen's not big enough. I can't see my own screen. Zoom in. I didn't put on my glasses. Nobody said you had to put on glasses for this. Hold on. Zoom in. All right, let's try it.
Design thinkers do wear glasses a lot, though.
I don't want to design thinking my eyesight. All right, let me try this again. This is everything in the design thinking process, all 5 steps. User interviews, stakeholder interviews, surveys, data analysis, metrics, competitors, focus groups, observation, clustering insights, context mapping, customer journey maps, personas, empathy maps, user journey, storyboards, user stories, problem statement narratives, assumptions mapping, task analysis, jobs to be done, comparative analysis, brainstorm sessions, mind maps, affinity maps, storyboard, card sorting, user journeys, user flows. Information architecture, service blueprints, business model canvas, crazy eights, design principles, paper prototypes, micro interactions, detailed user flows, mock-ups, interactive prototypes, wireframes, high fidelity design, design handoffs, design documentation, HTML, JavaScript prototypes, usability testing, shadowing, A/B testing, SUS surveys, heuristic evaluation, QA analytics, performance testing, observations, desirability evaluations, metrics, and eye tracking.
Woo! Okay. Well, I think that covered some of it.
Yeah, Kayleen said what I always say, which is, ask your doctor if design thinking is right for you.
Do not operate heavy machinery after design.
Exactly. That and meditation. I love when I listen to the meditation things at night to fall asleep and they're like, do not listen to this if you are driving heavy machinery. So I'm always like, who does that? Who decides, you know what? I'm driving this earth mover right now. I really want to hear a sleep meditation.
They're in your big truck.
That is my sleep meditation is my jam.
I know what this needs. Press play.
All right, we got another for you, and then we're gonna have to cry ourselves out of here. Ben sent me this one this morning. It's from a book on design thinking, and I'm just going to read you part of this because there was a lot in here, and it was all bizarre. And again, I still think that these snark themselves and holier than thou themselves, and bizarrely without detail. Like, after all of this time we've just spent, I have no idea how to design think. I don't understand if I'm supposed to do deep research or skimp on research because who wants to be focused on the problem? I don't know if I should talk to customers or just imagine I know customers because we know customers. I don't know, I still don't know what to do. Okay, so this one says, so what is design thinking?
They're going to tell us.
Okay,
we're
going to find out.
They're going to nail it.
So what is design thinking? A way to take on design challenges by applying empathy? Wait, what? That's the first line? And I'm already angry? All you have to do is apply empathy? What? I have to vicariously feel other people's feelings? All right, let me try to read this without stopping.
All right, go.
So,
You've got this.
what is design thinking? A way to take on design challenges by applying empathy, an approach to collective problem solving, a framework to balance needs and feasibility, a means to solve complex or wicked problems, a mindset for curiosity and inquiry, a fixed process and tool set, a problem-solving approach to handle problems on a systems level, a culture that fosters exploration and experimentation, a design buzzword to suggest that designers can do more than just design, a management buzzword sold as the next strategic tool. The answer to all is yes and more. Here's my definition of design thinking. Design thinking is the search for a magical balance between business and art, structure and chaos, intuition and logic, concept and execution, playfulness and formality, and control and empowerment. In my practice, says the author, this is a framework for human-centered approach to strategic innovation and a new management paradigm for value creation in a world of radically changing networks and disruptive technology. Although that framework is certainly populated by valuable processes or tools, which we'll get to later, it is the framework itself that is where the magical balance resides. Design thinking is about cognitive flexibility, the ability to adapt the process to the challenges. And when it comes to organizations that successfully apply design thinking to challenges, that framework is essentially cultural. If you were to try to describe the culture of a design thinking organization, some of the words that would likely arise might include human-centric, speed and agility, adaptable and flexible, inspired, disruptive, passionate, purposeful, creative and innovative, connected and flat, fun and playful, committed, high energy, risk-taking. So, Ben, what isn't design thinking? In our last 2 minutes, we come back to the title of our own show. What isn't design thinking?
I was going to say, at the very least, it's not dentistry or poop management. But we know that's not true.
We ran out of time. Okay, so
we ran out of time.
Damn it. We ran out of time because Ben found articles that design thinking was being used around dentistry. Design thinking utilizes techniques such as sketching, rapid prototyping, and role-playing from the creative arts. And applies them to understanding and redefining complex problems, leading to the generation of new ideas. Everybody, make sure you are role-playing. I'm guessing that's the empathy part, but who can say? And you also found, can design thinking help understand solid waste management systems? Let's all remind everybody. Solid waste.
It's nothing sacred.
Not on this show.
Step number 1. Empathize with the solid waste. Etc. If I just transpose the two together, so from that previous book, so if you picture in your mind solid waste management, and I'll do the talk over. Design thinking is a search for a magical balance between business and art, structure and chaos, intuition and logic, concept, execution, playfulness and formality, control and empowerment.
Marisol has it. She wins it. A waste system to manage a waste system. I'm going to try to read. I'm going to try to read how they defined empathize for this project, because this was serious. Empathize. Meticulous highlight of regional level solid waste management status was done. Look, I'm making it through. Don't you fuck this up.
I can't.
Maybe my boyfriend can read this. Hey, honey. Can you read this without laughing? I was doing it too. Now what will Sarah think of me?
I think you just get to solid waste management and that's it. It's no more necessary. Oh, shit.
The group went to a solution safari in various wards to observe how the community... Look, I think that based on what this article says, the solution safari is a good idea. But I'm not convinced that you needed design thinking to do this. If you need to improve solid waste in your municipality, yes, you need to go to the community to see how they're dealing with solid waste. You don't need design thinking. You just need urban planning and scientists and the mayor and people who do this stuff. You don't need design thinking to go into the community and see what's wrong with your solid waste program. That part's not funny.
You need an ethnographer with a nose peg. That's what you need. That's all you need.
Oh, Pier Mario, you put up a trademark symbol. That was good. Majority of residents in semi-urban wards and islands are not an integral part of the waste collection system and therefore end up using multiple local methods of waste disposal, including burning. Look, this is good information for a project that aims to improve waste and communities and sanitation, but I don't see what this has to do with design thinking. Or empathy. Or empathy, because empathy is vicariously feeling another person's feelings. So look, a project like this absolutely should go out into the community and research what the hell is going on with poop. But that doesn't mean you have to call it empathy. You can just call it field research. What happened to just calling things what they were? Field research.
Yeah, standing in the sewage maintenance duct and pointing at some poop.
Is a good idea, but isn't necessarily design thinking. All right, I'm running late.
It's exactly design thinking.
I have an observational research session to do in 12 minutes. No design thinking required. And Ben, thank you so much for another adventure together. And where everybody can find you on LinkedIn. What are your parting words?
Three words. I just can't.
Yeah.
I just can't do it longer.
And I would have to say I'm still a little bothered that somebody thought I was being holier than thou. I think design thinking is the holier than thou trophy winner because a community can solve their solid waste problem through appropriate scientific and urban planning measures. They didn't need design thinking to properly approach sanitation. So I'm not getting it.
Be better dentists if they just empathize more and do some of the old role play.
If only we had crazy poop eights. Thanks to everybody who joined in for what isn't design thinking. I know we had a good laugh, but all of those articles were real. We copied and pasted these things from all of the sources. Yep. We didn't embellish these or change these. We did make fun of them. We absolutely made fun of them, but we didn't change these. And to me, one of the biggest problems with design thinking is we can't agree on what the definition of it is. And if it really is full user-centered design and getting to know customers and creating the right things for them, let's just please call it user-centered design. It doesn't need a trendy name, because then when it goes out of style, companies won't want to do it. Now, what are you going to do?
Yeah, like that is the serious point underpinning all this, isn't it?
Yes, with Kayleen's smiley face next to your head. So I haven't yet put the theme song on the ending music, so please forgive the dreary ending music, everybody. But I will see you tomorrow twice for Office Hours Ask Me Anything. Special thanks to Ben for another hilarious episode, and I hope to see everybody tomorrow. Bye! Delta CX, available for CX and UX consulting, projects, and training. Contact us for a free consultation.